Existential Crisis. Have you had one? I don't recommend it. So I started off 2019 on the wrong foot, so to speak. It was during school. We had a lot of time off, and I spent all my time on the computer doing research. I was reading books, I was blogging, I was doing all this stuff and educating myself, and I was learning a lot. I was particularly interested in entrepreneurship and business and all these kind of things. It actually sort of evolved into pretty much life improvement and living an authentic and full life. I completely overloaded myself with blog posts, TED Talks, other videos, YouTubers, philosophy, books, all of these things, and I've gained a lot of information in the last 10 months. It's had good and bad. Good, obviously, is gaining information. I mean, learning from other people's human experiences is really important. All of this is up for interpretation, if you haven't noticed. I was looking for consistency, things throughout history, or different things that could be sort of undeniably true or axiomatic. Anyway, the issue that it caused was I kept running into the same problem. I understood what it takes to get to that point of greatness, or, I would hear a lot of the same things over and over, and, I'd think to myself, okay, I can pull that off. The problem is I fell short on step number one, and this was something that every single person basically says, which is really important, and that is the clarity of your goal. Aiming in the right direction is so important. And there's actually a saying in racing, which I think is perfect for it: hands follow the eyes. And so while you're racing, essentially what you want to do is you always want to focus on where you want to go. If you focus on where you don't want to go, you're going to end up there. So if someone crashes off to the side and you focus hard on that, you're going to end up crashing. If you feel yourself starting to lose control and you just focus on where you want to go, then chances are your hands, your body will probably figure out what to do, and everything willing, you'll end up there. And so that is so true as far as every little thing. If you in theory, it's the law of attraction, more or less. Your thoughts will dominate where you're going to go and pretty much predict that. And so all the people who focus on all the negatives, all the worst parts of the world, they're always looking at the problems and they're never looking for any solutions, then they're going to get the problems. They're going to get the things they focus on. And it manifests. And so a lot of people are talking about laws of attraction and that kind of thing, and to a lot of people it seems like BS. Focusing on something or setting a goal doesn't entitle you or get you to that goal. And that's true. You have to do action to get there. But if you never focus on it, you'll never get there. And if you focus on going off track, you're going to end up off track. That's really important. But that brought me into pretty much an existential crisis, because I didn't see what I could do of value or what I wanted to do that was worthwhile, that was worth a lifetime. Even saying that is ridiculous, because you don't need that. You don't have to come up with something right now in my 20s that's going to be a lifetime fulfillment. Because people change, things change. I mean, look at me. I'm a good example. I mean, I could be making the same talk when I was 17 and have no idea that all of a sudden I'm not going to be a technician in a few years. So, who knows? It sent me into a complete reorganization of who I was and getting more in touch with who I was, what my talents and strengths and weaknesses are, and really touching base with myself and figuring that out, which was really good and a big growth, but it wasn't easy by any means. It's been a very hard 10 months. I mean, incredibly depressing and frankly a lot of anxiety. It was just the longer I wait to pull the trigger on something, the worse it gets, basically. The main thing that I realized as far as finding your purpose, because that was a topic that I looked into heavily as well. A lot of people talk about it, a lot of people take different stances on it, a lot of people don't have a problem with it. Like, I don't think Bill Gates ever sat down and thought, oh my god, what is it that I can do to value billions of people? But for me, it's really that. And I read something yesterday that talked about this mindset that people have now where it's a give and take system. So people want to be rewarded for everything they do, essentially. And that's the way we have been brought up in our culture, in America anyway. And I think that prevents a lot of people from taking action because they want to make sure the reward is there. I see the question, is this worth it a lot? Like, is buying the iPhone X worth it? Is playing this video game for 8 hours worth it? Or is buying this game worth it? People are so hesitant to do everything before they do it, and I'm very in the same boat. I was standing there and saying, what are you gonna give me before I do this? And I don't think that's right, but I think what is important is finding what you actually want to do and just give it your all. And I genuinely believe if you do that and practice other laws, become a better person, go to work hard on yourself, become financially educated, all of these things, I believe everything else will fall in place. But I still think it's important to have goals and places you want to go. Everything in your life can't be a pros and cons list, essentially. Pros and cons lists have never helped me. One pro may heavily outweigh a con. So how do you assign weight to that? That's something I never understood. The other thing I found is the only real way you're going to find out what you really love doing or what you don't like doing is doing it. And I mean, you learn from experience and you learn from action. That is something I ran into from a ton of people. So many people agreed with that or have said that. I am one person who did that. I thought I could think really hard and make my life clear. You go out and by going and working in the automotive industry for 2 years, realize I am not enjoying this or this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. It's a total experiment. No one knows what's going on, but you gotta, that's what they say when they mean fail more. Just go out and honestly do whatever, but just analyze what's going on and see if you like it, if you don't like it, and figure it out. And I don't want this to come off as advice, because I do not feel I'm in any position to be any kind of advice giver or consultant, because I certainly don't have things figured out. But what I'm learning is learning how to learn. I think I'm past that actually, but more importantly, learning how to look deeper into myself and be way more honest with my own actions, my own thoughts, and who I am, as well as being decisive on things in life, And it's starting to work out really well. My decision making is improving. And the big thing about decision making is indecision and existential crisis go hand in hand. Because if you don't have a goal, if you don't know where you're going, if you aren't sure about who you're going to become, then you're kind of open for any kind of interpretation. And so, a guy might walk along and say, hey, you want this job? And then you get stuck. You're like, I don't know, maybe I do, maybe I don't. And you waver and say, well, it could be a lot of money, but then you start making these pros and cons lists, and it's, the only way you're going to get clarity is by saying yes or no. Just try it, see what happens. Now, I'm not ultra successful. I'm not even in the best headspace. I still suffer from a lot of indecision and existential moments and, frankly, depression. And I have for a long time. I'm learning a lot about it, and that's what's important. If that can bring any kind of clarity to anyone who's feeling like they don't know where they're going in life, the way that I am figuring it out is by trying things. Don't second guess it. A lot of people do know who they are and know what they want, but they won't allow themselves to like it. Like for me, like with YouTube, I love making YouTube videos and I would love to do it full time. Before I would be like, yeah, that's great, but keep that as a hobby or whatever. I'm gonna go for it. There's no reason to turn it down. And it should be the same thing with everything. And it's not saying just go for it. If you deny yourself who you really are and what you really want, then you're gonna end up in the same position I was, trying to create a whole new person, and you don't have to. You just have to be honest with it. For some things, deep in your heart, things you would really like to do. And so I think doubt really comes in and says, well, yeah, you like that, but now you have to pick a more reasonable path. Do you? I mean, the risks of life are the same kind of no matter what. You're gonna die. Like, let's try something. Whatever. And again, I am not gonna be the 24-year-old guy who's trying to teach people about life. But this is what I've figured out at 24, what's working and what isn't. Things are getting better, maybe? I don't know. I feel more on center with myself. Leave a like, subscribe, comment your thoughts. Tell me what you think. I want to know if people suffer from indecision or these kinds of things. I'm genuinely curious. But anyway, thank you. Have a good day.